Going right?
That's my daughter. Was better.
And we're recording. You're all set.
Great.
Really? Even though I can't
Oh.
see? Yeah, apparently our storage is full, so I'm recording the computer. Got it. All right, everyone, I'd like to call the meeting of the village board to order at 7:33 PM. All trustees are present. Has this meeting been publicly noticed?
The notice has been properly noticed and posted according to law.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here, everyone, and thank you for your time, talent, and patience in advance while we conduct business. There are no special orders of business, so we'll continue on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by trustee Kudo, seconded by trustee Ursink. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the consent agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. You spent more time getting here than you in the room. Okay, that's great. Let the games begin. All right, we can move through items removed from the consent agenda as well as public hearings. On to citizens to be heard. Are there any citizens to be heard on a matter that is not on the agenda this evening? All right, we don't have any attendees other than you both. All right. That takes us to new business. 9A, consider resolution 2026-07, designating officials authorized to declare official intent under reimbursement bond regulations. This comes to us from our finance director. It really is a accountability tool in terms of directing staff that they may utilize funds on hand to avoid borrowing this year, which saves us money in the long run and provides the flexibility needed to continue capital planning and execute projects as are already slated. The approval of this resolution does not authorize the issuance of debt. It does not commit the village to proceed with borrowing. It does not commit the village to utilize cash financing, does not approve any specific capital project, or obligate the village to reimburse itself from future bond proceeds. It merely pertains to those on hand. Did I get that right? So, if there are no questions, yes?
How would we know if Rebecca has decided to use money that was, I'm wondering, run me through the process. We've never done this before for our cash flow.
It has been done in the past, although I think what it would come to us is tagged with spending on capital projects always comes before the board, and the source of the funding is always identified.
That
And
would
so-
be also,
So it would be in the cover memo.
So this is authorizing use of funds that we have raised through bonds for, let's say, sewers. And staff says, well, we really could use some cash flow right now to pay for something on Oakland. And so then Rebecca would say, I've been authorized by the village board to take cash from the bond fund for sewers to temporarily plug a hole for North Oakland Avenue. Is that what we're doing?
No.
No,
Other way around.
other way around.
Isn't it the other way around where we would pay for something and then realize that we could have bonded for that thing, and then we reimburse ourselves from the bond or from whatever we bonded for into our account because we could have bonded for it in the first place. I'm not explaining it eloquently, but I thought it was we paid for something and then we realized we could have bonded for it, and from those bond funds we reimburse ourselves. Is that
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah, there's no plugging of holes.
But you're moving funds around. So just to make it very simple for someone who's not a math major. We need a planter on Oakland Avenue. We didn't have the money. What happens? Now that Rebecca has the extra power, what happens?
there wouldn't be an extra project that I would be designating without us having about it. In this circumstance, I think it'd be the project, let's say it's North Oakland Avenue. We have, so let's say we're designing the project, we have not yet done. So I would designate the design that can be capitalized and included within the bond cost. Say we design, a lot of years we design a year in advance of when a project actually occurs. I wouldn't want to bond for design costs if I had some funds on hand in order to expend on the design so that we had a more sizable bond issuance because you pay when you bond. So I don't want to expend that on a small project. So that would allow us to designate those design project to be reimbursed with bond proceeds at the time.
So it's nothing that doesn't come here for discussion.
Yeah, so in other words, it just allows us to pay kind of the smaller expenses prior to bonding and paying that interest on the bonds. We can just pay for it. Then we bond and reimburse ourselves.
Correct.
But it doesn't create any new powers, doesn't authorize you to spend anything without kind of the board approving it. It's just kind of being able to manage our money responsibly.
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm. Trustee Arndorfer.
Yeah, and I mean, we have adopted reimbursement intent resolutions in connection with capital projects and borrowing programs before, correct? Lynn?
Yeah.
Correct. This is just a
Right.
blanket one. And from a financial advisement perspective, they had looked at it because we are working on so many projects and we don't want to have something slip through that could have qualified, that did not.
Right.
But nothing has that I'm aware of.
Okay.
But it's just to kind of put that out there.
All right. And with those resolutions that were adopted, I mean, off the top of your head, any sense as to how often or frequently the village took advantage of that capability?
Well, we've always reimbursed ourselves for those projects in which we've designated in the bond. I think here it's just a matter of time. Historically, when I got here, the village would be borrowing every 2 years, but we didn't have the magnitude of project that you have
Right.
now. And so, again, from the financial advisement standpoint, it's like, well, we want to look at this and make sure that we're consolidating. The last couple of years, we've borrowed every year. Right? I would prefer not to do that or do that in a longer, perhaps get back to that 2 year, if possible, given the LSL projects. But you want to try to utilize your cash management instead of expending more money.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion.
Please.
I move to approve resolution 2026-07 designating officials authorized to declare official intent under reimbursement bond regulations.
I'll second that.
Motion by trustee Arndorfer, seconded by trustee Warren. Any further discussion?
I did have one question. We don't have any redundancy. So the other question I have is, are we doing this if we had on-staff person, finance director? Would that be the first person we'd have doing this? Instead of,
No,
but we can't really, we can't put a backup here as Christina or David because they're not on staff.
Yeah, so I misspoke. We're not directing staff. We are, as a village, giving us ourselves this flexibility. So no one's, dispersing monies
Right.
without village board action.
Right. I'm just saying if Rebecca was for some reason not here, we couldn't have Christina or David.
Then I would, if for some reason I'm not here, you would divert to your assistant village manager. You would just likely want the separation of duties between finance director and who's on this.
But we're not going to mention that. Village manager. I'm fine with it. I just. want to
Yeah, I don't
clarify.
think that you would need to.
There shouldn't be anything that time sensitive.
No,
No,
most of these
We
things,
see this
right?
coming
Yeah.
weeks in advance.
Yeah,
Okay.
we approve our projects in advance and then the decisions around those
It would
occur.
most likely come before us in a consent agenda item. Don't know yet.
well, you'd see any project that you would be bonding for is going to come to you in some level of discussion through the long range plan.
But this sounds more like a cash flow, not a.
Well, the projects themselves, those projects that we would reimburse ourselves with bond proceeds would be discussed because those are the projects we would bond for. So, it's unless there is an emergency and then I would be meeting with you anyways. You're gonna know those projects. We went through that list of projects.
Okay.
Yeah, and trustee Zuckerman,
Oh, go ahead.
I agree with you. Yeah, it seems kind of like a cash flow. Instead of bonding for something right now, you bond for it in 6 months and then you pay up front and then you reimburse yourself. So it seems cash flowy to me, but
Thank you, trustee.
All right, this will be a roll call vote.
Trustee Arndorfer,
Aye.
trustee Ursink,
Aye.
trustee Schrockman,
Aye.
President McKay,
Aye.
trustee Kudo.
Yep.
Trustee McGovern,
Aye.
trustee Warren.
I,
All right, motion carries. So moving on to 9B, consider resolution 2026-05, urging the governor's office to enact a comprehensive sustainable funding solution for transportation. So this comes to us at the ICC or as the memo details. This is a priority of the Wisconsin League of Municipalities. It also came to us through the ICC. So we're being invited to pass this resolution to show support for this priority this legislative priority for the League of Wisconsin Municipalities. Yes, Arthur?
I move to approve resolution 2026-05, urging the governor's office to enact a comprehensive sustainable funding solution for transportation.
Second.
Motion by trustee Ursink, seconded by trustee Arndorfer. Any discussion? Hearing none, this will be a roll call vote as well.
Trustee Kudo,
Abstain.
trustee McGovern,
Aye.
trustee Schrockman,
Aye.
trustee Warren,
I,
trustee Ursink,
Aye.
trustee Arndorfer,
Aye.
President McKay.
Aye.
Carries.
Thank you. All right, 9C. Consider resolution 2026-04 endorsing HR 5356 and urging Congress to establish a national infrastructure bank. So this comes to us from our colleague up the road, Mayor Kennedy, who brought it to the ICC. The ICC passed this unanimously. And we are being asked to consider take action in solidarity of that. Is there a motion? Or questions?
I move to approve resolution 2026-04 endorsing HR 5356 and urging Congress to establish a national infrastructure bank.
Second.
Motion by trustee Warren, seconded by trustee Arndorfer. Any discussion?
Were any other options for funding infrastructure discussed at the ICC?
No, not within regards to this. All right, hearing none, this will be a roll call vote as well.
Trustee McGovern,
Aye.
trustee Kudo,
Abstain.
trustee Warren,
Aye.
trustee Schrockman,
Nay.
trustee Arndorfer,
Aye.
trustee Ursink,
Yes.
President McKay.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, 9D, consider resolution 2026-06, urging the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin to closely scrutinize the proposed rate increase by We Energies return for regulated utilities and calling on all Milwaukee County municipalities and the county board to take formal action in opposition to unjustified rate increases. This closely aligns with concerns around not only more rapid rate increases, but also with the building of new plants to expand the grid for power data centers, issues around trust and oversight. So this was passed at the ICC, brought forward by Mayor Kennedy for the same reason. And so I'm bringing it here to see if this body would like to take action as well. Trustee Arndorfer.
I'd like to make a motion. I move to approve resolution 2026-06 and letter expressing concern for the We Energies request for a 14% increase.
You're from Shorewood. Oh my gosh, you do this amazing work. You're the first place. So we are known around the state for that. And I think it's something that we should be proud of. And so then the ARP expects us every 5 years to come up with a new age-friendly plan. We do it every 3 to 4 years. So we just do it more frequently than the ARP, which is just a good thing. So we have this is our cycle to be doing a new age-friendly plan. We can move to the next slide. Okay, so we have sort of, I think, a non-conventional structure for doing this, but we have age-friendly Shorewood. Shorewood Connects is a piece of that, but the Elder Service Advisory Board is part of that with Katie Now. Parks and Ped Bike plays a big part in this. The Senior Resource Center obviously plays a big part in this. And we have the Dementia Awareness Work Group, which is a volunteer committee that's headed by Sue Kelly, who is the former Shorewood Connects person and does just amazing work around dementia education and support. And that serves Shorewood and the whole North Shore. This is sort of, in a way, simplified because there's also obviously the village, the DPW, the library, the school district. There's just the men's club, the women's club, like every entity in Shorewood is really part of age-friendly Shorewood and Shorewood Connects. I mean, like the Shorewood 12, for instance, it's just a wonderful age-friendly, inclusive event, or the feast. There are so many things that go on in Shorewood, and we're all part of that. And age-friendly Shorewood is part of all of that. We go to the next slide. So we have to pick priority areas. Each time we picked 3 priorities based on having done a survey of residents and also based on what we have been doing and what Shorewood does well and what our strengths are, and also where we feel like there is need in the community. So priority area 1, and these are based, there's 8 domains of livability. So we picked 3 of those to really focus on in this next iteration, these next 3-year iteration. So one is transportation and safe streets for all. This is something Shorewood already leans into and we're strong on, and we have a great structure in place with Ped Bike and the village working on this. So our vision is Shorewood residents feel safe and welcomed on the streets and sidewalks of Shorewood. And the goal is to enhance Shorewood's walkability and bike accessibility with an eye on road design, complete streets, principles, and access to safe and reliable transportation. So again, this is something we have adopted complete streets here in Shorewood. We already have a very walkable community. It's just something that we continue to lean into with our walk audits and like education around clearing sidewalks and ramps during the winter. And also advocacy for the public transportation system and that not being cut back in Milwaukee County. Next slide. So these are some of the specific strategies. So working closely with Ped Bike, and you can see like when you look at the partners on all of these, we are really partnering strongly with all the organizations around Shorewood, the police department, Ped Bike, the Elder Services Advisory Board, the schools. All of these groups are important partners. We can't do any of this without everybody working together. And everybody's kind of working in silos, but part of my job is to kind of cross those silos and make sure everybody knows that we're all working towards this joint goal. So we have the Ped Bike Safety Committee, we have the police department doing their enforcement. We are consistently advocating for snow and ice removal. We did the walk audit, the winter walk audit, where we really looked at walkability in the winter and support robust public and private transportation alternatives. So this is the buses, but also something like Eastside Senior Services, which offers rides to seniors and support to seniors who need to get around. So we have a couple different options in Shorewood for people who are not driving. Priority area 2. Okay. Respect and social inclusion. So the vision here is that Shorewood residents of all ages, particularly older adults, have the opportunity to participate in the life of the village and to promote ways for people to develop connections to their neighbors and to the larger Shorewood community. So this is the new neighbor, the Welcome New Neighbors picnic. It's neighbor to neighbor connections. It was the Generations dinner. I don't know how many people remember that, but that happened a couple years ago and something we can revisit where we had little neighborhood dinners where we had one person from each decade of life come together and have a meal together. 4 of those happened across the village. We have that dementia awareness work group, which does educational events. It has the Shorewood Memory Cafe, which happens monthly, which has been, I would say, super successful. I mean, I am just so proud of the Memory Cafe, honestly. It happens every month. We have great turnout. We reliably have people come from across Milwaukee and the North Shore to that and say, this is the best Memory Cafe in the Milwaukee area. We have just and it's not because we have the most amazing program, it's because we have the most amazing people. We have this great connection. Everybody just feels at home there and happy, and we're all laughing. And anyway, it's just a great group, and it's because of even though we're serving a Shorewood in a larger group, the volunteers and the people running it are Shorewood. It is Shorewood based, and it's just a super strong program. We also have Coffee and Conversation, which is a support group for people who are caregivers or people with memory loss, and that's also very well attended and all volunteer run. And then housing options and the opportunity for people to volunteer of all ages. This is something we always continue to work on, but obviously there's a million ways to volunteer in Shorewood. And I just met with someone the other day who wanted to get together and asked, how can I participate in Shorewood? And the poor woman got about 3,000 options for me about ways she could get involved. So we have lots of ways for people to get involved. And then the housing options, I just want to thank all of you for your work on the ADUs. I think that's a great step forward, and that's the kind of stuff we're working on. Of course.
Were you affected by the change in the Metro Market? Was the dog or the Coffee Conversations, were any of those at the Metro Market location?
Yes. So the only thing that was at Metro Market was the Memory Cafe, and the Memory Cafe was at Three Lions before the pandemic. During the pandemic, we were the only memory cafe, to my knowledge, in Wisconsin that stayed continuously active throughout the pandemic and continued to meet in person. So we met in that little circle at Hubbard Park, and we had people driving through. We did it all very safe because we're Shorewood and we care, but we also knew how important it was people to have those connections. Then we moved to Metro Market after the pandemic. It wasn't the best. I mean, it worked fine. It was like, there was a little more social distancing, a little more space, but I think in the end, the acoustics weren't that great.
So that loss of that community space is not a huge loss for you.
We had already moved, no, I mean, we had already moved to Kingo. So we have already made a move to Kingo because of acoustics and space issues. And Kingo's been a really wonderful partner. They also host the Coffee and Conversation group. So yeah, so that's not, but I mean, if you're asking my opinion, I do think the loss of that public space is unfortunate, but it isn't a problem for Memory Cafe. Okay. Maybe we move to, actually, go back to respect and conclusion. I just want to point out that that's the picture is at Shorewood High School. That's the Shorewood Reads program. And we did a intergenerational Shorewood Reads book club at the high school in conjunction with a teacher at the high school, and a student led the discussion. And that's a picture from that. And that was just a great, really fun experience. And it got some people into the high school who hadn't seen it since the renovation or hadn't ever been there. So that was really nice. Okay, so now we can go to the next slide. All right, so inclusive community, promote events that connect residents across generations. This educational, recreational, social, and fitness programming. So that's the rec department, the senior resource center, trying to create things that are specific to seniors, but also that are open to people across all ages, and that would be welcoming to seniors. And then advocate for the accessible housing, inclusive housing options. We have the fall yard cleanup, which is still a great program and continues on. And then the dementia-friendly stuff. All right, so priority area 3. So this is the last priority area. Communication and information. So the vision is to improve awareness and language around aging and increase awareness of information referral resources in Shorewood and Milwaukee County, with the goal being residents are aware of health and supportive services, particularly through the SRC, the Senior Resource Center. Residents understand the value of Shorewood as an age-friendly and dementia-friendly community. So, so a lot of this is just that people don't know what's available, and we want to make sure people know what's available. And we also know that Shorewood is an age-friendly community and why that's important. So we are super lucky to have the Shorewood Senior Resource Center and those classes and those resources, but also particularly the referral opportunities. So if there's a family, whether it's the person themselves or a child, an adult child, like they can reach out to the Senior Resource Center and get referrals in Shorewood and across Milwaukee County. That's super valuable, and we want to make sure people know that's available. Also, I think ageism is just something that is just intrinsic in our own culture. I don't think we're always, I mean, myself included, I've heard myself say things that afterwards I'm like, I can't believe I said that. I think it's unconscious, and I think it's something we need to be aware of. And so that's something we really want to focus on, is just making people aware of the biases that maybe are unconscious around aging, and work to make sure that our language and our actions are inclusive. And so, so that's a big part of that. And then making sure that we reach out through all channels, whether it's the library or the school district or Shorewood Today, which is a wonderful resource to get the word out on things going on in Shorewood that would be open to people of all ages. So then on the next slide, yes. So, I mean, this is just going again into the details of that. But one of the pieces in here that I didn't talk about, but I would love to promote more ways to get the word out of volunteer opportunities. So you may hear more about that, but that is something I would love to work on, is for people who want to volunteer to find out how they can volunteer more easily. so that I don't have to meet with everybody one-on-one. So, okay, and then the last slide. Okay, and this just is the overview. Again, we're an age-friendly community, so the 3 pillars that we'd be working on the next 3 years are transportation, inclusion, the social connection, and the respect, and then communication, providing information and getting the word out to people about the resources, what's available in Shorewood, and just basic awareness within the village about ageism and inclusive language. And then the last slide, my favorite slide, is some of the amazing stuff that's going on. So that's the book club in the upper left at the high school, yard cleanup, the picture of the little boy that was just from the last Memory Cafe. We had a resident from Shorewood who does bees and makes honey come to the Memory Cafe and he's looking at bees. And then we had Tracy Nicholas do a exhibit at the Shorewood Library recently, and she does portraits of people with dementia, and she did this amazing exhibit that also had the educational component of kind of understanding what that's like for people with memory loss and what it's like for their families. The yard cleanup, a couple of these are the yard cleanups. Sue Kelly at the bottom, who is my predecessor in this job at the Memory Cafe, someone during the yard cleanup. And then the middle one is also the beekeeper program at the Memory Cafe. So that's what I have for you guys. Are there any questions or comments or concerns? Anything? Yeah,
I
Arthur?
would say, what are some of the conversations that you're having with the residents and their feeling towards Shorewood right now, and things that may be concerns to them, or things that they are, thinking positively about our community?
I mean, generally, this is one of the things I loved about the Decades Dinner. Now, the last one that I attended was a few years ago, but when you ask people like why they came to Shorewood or what they like about Shorewood, it is amazing how consistent that is across the generations. Like, people really value a lot of the same things about Shorewood, whether you're, 22 or 92. And that said, I would say like they are valuing the same things: the connection, all the activities, the lake, the river, the walkability, all of that stuff, and all of the opportunities in Shorewood. If I hear concerns, it's particularly with older residents, it's about affordability. I think that's, that maybe not just older residents right now, but I think affordability is just an issue.
Do you think change, like a lot of the change that the community has seen over the past 10 years also sort of affects people, maybe their vision of what Shorewood used to be compared to what it's becoming? Do you see that being a big impact on some of those residents?
Personally, no. That said, like, change is hard for people, right? But I'm not hearing that
Okay.
particularly, no, in the work I'm doing.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Question about ADUs.
Yeah.
That was something I was a big supporter of. And as you know, it can be a really good option for somebody who wants to build something for a aging relative. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you heard much feedback out about that, or do you feel like word is getting out that this is now an option for people, that it's legal now if your family wants to build one?
I think word's definitely getting out, and I personally think it's a very positive development. I understand that there are a lot of lots that may not be big enough, but if you do have a lot that works for an ADU, I think it's a great opportunity for families who want, a granny cottage. But I think also there are families that have adult disabled children that would also like to have the opportunity to have multiple generations on the same, on the same footprint. And so I think it's a win-win for everybody. And I personally have only heard positive things.
Thank you.
So thank you for supporting it. Kathy?
I was just wondering, and maybe this isn't a Senior Resource Center question, where do we see participation in activities sponsored by Shorewood Connects and the SRC in the village and with neighboring communities, Milwaukee, Glendale, Whitefish Bay?
Like overlap between?
Yeah,
them?
are we seeing, like, is it all pretty stable? Has it always been the same? Are we seeing more residents? I think we we charge a little more for non-residents like you would for the VHE swimming pass or whatever. I'm just wondering, do you see changes or is it a pretty stable number?
I mean, I'll pass that one on to Elizabeth, but I'll say as terms of Shorewood Connects, it's pretty set,
Is
right?
that-
90% of what I do is
Is
all
in the
Shorewood
village.
only.
Yeah.
And then with the exception of the dementia awareness work, which is open to everybody in the North Shore, and that has been pretty
Does
consistent.
that include like the
well.
east side or no?
I mean, East Side too. I mean, we have people coming from Menominee Falls and pretty far flung for the dementia awareness kind of work. Yeah. So, which is kind of nice because I mean, it's a kind of an opportunity to talk about how great Shorewood is. So, all right, Elizabeth.
We've taken a lot of steps at the Senior Resource Center to, we don't charge extra fees for non-residents, but
Oh.
we limit the number of seats available
Oh.
for non-residents. So our non-resident participation is stable as a result. And it's,
Generally, those seats are full.
yes, with a wait list. Yeah.
Any
Anything
other
else?
questions or comments? I'll just say thank you very much. It's a really, it's wonderful to see it grow over the years. And I love a plan.
Yeah, who doesn't love a plan? Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody. I appreciate
you.
your support.
Thanks, Vashti.
All right, that concludes new business. And so moving on to reports of village officials. We have a proclamation for National Public Works Week. Whereas public works services provided in the village of Shorewood are an integral part of our residents' everyday lives. And whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works programs, including sewer and water systems, park and forestry maintenance, fleet and facilities maintenance, refuse collection, street maintenance and repair, traffic and street light system maintenance, and winter operations. And whereas the health and safety and comfort of the residents of the village of Shorewood greatly depends on these facilities and services. And whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skill of public works personnel. And whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff the Village of Shorewood's Department of Works is greatly influenced by residents' attitude and understanding of the importance of their work. Now therefore, I, Ann McCullough McCaig, President of the Village of Shorewood, Milwaukee County, Wisconsin, do hereby proclaim the week of May 17th, 2026 as National Public Works Week in the Village of Shorewood. And I call upon all residents and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize contributions which public works officials make every day to our health, safety, and comfort and quality of life. In absence. Please pass along, play this clip. All right. A report from the Milwaukee Intergovernmental Cooperation Council last week, May 11th, 2026. The materials are linked. A number of Shorewood partners presented on domestic violence awareness, domestic violence prevention, and some organizing that we did following the October awareness event last year. And it was very well received. And so that was an honor to have that opportunity. The fire department board meeting took place on the 12th. So that information is linked. And I attended the Grassroots North Shore Candidates Forum yesterday. That was very well attended. And more to come. And I also attended part of the art walk last week. I didn't make it to all the sites, but it was really, really active and seemed like it was popular. Any other reports?
Yeah, I would second that on the art walk. I did my bit to support small businesses, spent a lot more money than I planned, and there were just tons of people out. Like everybody was having a good time. So it was just a really impressive event by the BID and the Public Arts Committee. And really shows how, you know, arts enriches our lives, but is also good for business. So I was really happy to attend that. And then was just at the school board town hall with trustee Stoker-Brown, who was there as well, just to hear feedback from residents. Oh, you were there too. All right. We almost had a quorum. Okay. So, but yeah, just great to see everybody out and about.
Yes.
You know, I had to really figure out which direction I wanted to go tonight, whether it be the schools or Shorewood Varsity High School baseball. Tonight was playing for division, sort of first place in their division, which is hasn't been said in a very long time. So I know that there's a lot of encouragement for fans to come out and to support the team tonight, and so I decided to go and support the baseball team tonight, and hopefully I can hear the feedback from how the schools went from everybody else.
They win?
They it's a very long story, but they're playing right now.
Ooh, okay. Yes, Trustee Kudo.
A few things. One, I had the opportunity to visit Cloud Red yesterday on their 10th anniversary. So congratulations to them on surviving 10 years in that industry, which is a huge accomplishment. Two, again, this year I've been able to participate in passages at the elementary schools. I know that some other board members are also doing it. I went to a bunch of them last week at Atwater. We'll do more again this week at Lake Bluff. Continue to be unbelievably impressed by the sixth graders and the educators that are educating them every day. I think we'll be okay.
The future.
I think we're okay. As long as we don't screw it up too much. So that was really exciting. And much like Arthur, before I was here, I was at the Shorewood girls varsity soccer game, which was their last home game of the year. And they won 5-1. So congratulations.
Who'd they beat?
University School.
Easy work.
All right. Trustee Stoker.
I just wanted to echo what everyone said about Art Walk. I hope they consider doing it again. Mother Nature also was favorable. The school district meeting was well attended. And obviously there's a lot of concern. And it looks like one of the main areas where we would be involved would be if they close SIS and they move 5, 6, 7, 8 to Atwater. There would be big concerns about bike ped safety and drop off. So that's potentially a place to be engaged if that becomes.
Thank you. All right. Village manager report.
I wanted to update everybody that we are preparing to release an RFP for Shorewood Today, a Shorewood Today editorial team. As you recall, we've been working with a lot of the same partners over the last several years, and that is now coming to a conclusion. So we'll be releasing an RFP and seeking out a new editorial team to come in for purposes of production of the magazine. Because we're going through this transition, because we're meeting with them, I just thought I'd refresh everybody's memory and just kind of how the structure works and how it was set up. Nicole Berzin, the assistant village manager, and I will be meeting with the stakeholder partners in Shorewood Today magazine. They're the ones responsible for finalizing the RFP. We are the administrative agent of the contract, which is why it comes through us. So just wanted to refresh everybody's memory. Included in your packet tonight is a draft of the RFP. We'll be meeting with the stakeholder group on Thursday to finalize this draft, but I just wanted to, say if there's any comments that you'd like to send me individually following the meeting regarding the RFP, you're welcome to. And just know that we'll be finalizing that and you'll see it come back to you in the timeline specified, which wouldn't be until June. One of the reasons why we're backing up the timeline like this is so that we can have the last editorial team meeting for establishment of the last Shorewood Today edition with the current team, so that if someone's looking to submit an app or submit a proposal, they can come and just observe what we do with the other stakeholders at that meeting. We just thought we have time on the side, on our side, in terms of educating and providing people with a good reference point. So we wanted to include that. We're hoping to wrap this up by September, so that will be ready for the next editorial meeting to kick off with the new provider next year.
I was just wondering, the idea of going every other, have we thought of doing that before?
No, that was actually in the first RFP that we could pull
Like
up.
08,
Pardon?
from the first one in like 08?
I don't believe we had digital records then, but whenever we went back to the last digital RFP for solicitation, that was an option in there. I don't believe, unless someone, I only know the magazine 2017 and on, but I don't believe we've ever done every other month. That's actually a question that I will have for the editorial team. Do you want to keep that in there? Do you want to keep it to 4 times a year? You know, and really just kind of level set with regards to expectations in terms of what they're expecting from.
I guess it depends on the stakeholder group too. What
Correct.
do we want? Do we want? Often, I'm also wondering about the 40%. Obviously, this would be great if this was self-supporting. And so are we doing anything to encourage this to be a self-supporting publication?
I think that's an example of a comment that you could bring forward, through Rebecca, and then we would just bring that as, it's a decision point, I think.
That's below ad ratio.
I think if it was self-supported, in my opinion, it wouldn't be as community focused, and if you see some of those magazines that are around every community, it's just kind of trash. It's not helpful for the community. So if we didn't have the buy-in from the stakeholders, it wouldn't be as robust, and it wouldn't be as like community oriented and focused. It would just be pay to play content, and it would just be wasted paper at that point,
So
because the community
two
wouldn't have.
comments that you can
Yeah.
I
put
disagree.
forward.
I
Mhm.
disagree.
Oh,
And-
well, I
I'm-
disagree with you.
I'm happy to take both comments back to the group. I think that gets back to the point in some of the discussion we want to have with the stakeholders is level of expectation in terms of product and service. So
I
I
guess
look,
we have 2 marketing committees too, right? Are we going to engage those 2 committees to get their feedback and input about future of Shorewood today? I mean, this is a pivot point, right?
so the quote unquote there has been 2 marketing committees in the past.
Right.
One which no longer meets because
Oh.
there used to be a contract that the stakeholders engaged in, which was a larger marketing effort. And then it continued for a while and then went defunct because it didn't have that contractual hub. The second marketing committee, and I'll be looking to clear up that language when we hit the next rendition of this RFP, is essentially the stakeholder group. The only thing that marketing committee or stakeholder group has been doing has been that focused work on Shorewood today.
Oh.
So that's just a clarification.
Okay, because some of that involved other groups, like the school district and the bid.
That's
think
what
that's-
the
This is-
editorial board does represent all those.
Correct. So
stakeholders.
all of those parties are present for the editorial meeting.
And we've asked them to circulate this draft RFP to their leadership as well, however they want to get input, so that when we come to the meeting on Thursday, we're ready to represent and make any changes to the RFP.
And so the people who were on the committee that's defunct are aware that their committee is defunct.
So I just want to clarify because it was confusing for me. I had to go back. There was a different separate village marketing committee that administered that's no longer in motion. The only marketing committee that is present now is the one established by resolution. And the marketing committee, as we're talking about them tonight, is essentially the stakeholders for Shorewood today. So there's
To your
only one
point, yeah.
marketing committee, but
Yeah.
I will be reconciling that to make it clear for us moving forward after this process is done.
Yep.
Great question. So feel free to reach out to me.
All right. Moving on to future items of consideration, 11A, consider allowing parking and pedestrian activities on areas of North Oakland Avenue that are currently closed to both activities. Trustee Kudo.
Yeah, I've had a number of conversations with Leanne, and a ton of citizen feedback on the construction. I just want to send this item, would hope to send this item to DPW committee to discuss opportunities for not only parking on Oakland Avenue during off-construction hours, but also the potential to open up some laterals that have remained closed for months with no activity on those lateral intersections, and no storage of any equipment on those. So I would request that this gets sent to DPW so we can figure out how to make this situation better moving forward.
By laterals, you mean east-west cross street.
Correct.
Let's not use laterals in a non-sewerage context.
Cross streets.
They are replacing laterals. That's why they're closed. So, and
I shall use laterals in any manner I see fit.
You may not use laterals that way.
East-west cross streets.
Thank you.
Yes,
makes so much more sense.
yes, I'm glad everyone was able to follow us.
The second.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll second the motion. I certainly support looking at, I don't want to slow down the project, but would support looking at it, especially with respect to the laterals too, where there's nothing going on, living very close, nothing going on. And, people are using kind of cut throughs they come up with
Yep.
to get around it. So it might be nice if we could open some of those up.
I think-
Longer enough close.
I think there's a way to do it. I reviewed the over 300-page contract as well as the 18-page summary of the contract and agreement. We retain control of that street, so I'm interested to talk to DPW about how we can make it happen.
Is the
right,
liability
we have a-
question answered?
We can answer it in
That would
committee.
be
The-
committee. That's the
yeah.
purpose of getting it to committee.
Let me
So
go to
we have a
committee.
first.
I have plenty of,
And a second?
thoughts, but
Yeah, we
we're
have
gonna
a
wait till DPW.
trustee Kudo with the first, trustee Warren with the second. All those in favor of sending it to committee, say aye.
Aye.
I second.
Oh, it was your second? All
He
right.
did it more professionally and eloquently, but I
Yeah.
beat him to
Yeah,
it.
he beat me to it.
Any opposed?
Put that for the record.
Motion carries. Motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
I had one other item for future consideration. Can I bring it up if it wasn't on the agenda? Can it still be an item for future consideration?
I can't guarantee it. I mean, you can bring it up if we can resolve it without discussion and get the votes, I'll allow it. Otherwise, we'll put it in.
I've heard some complaints about the noise from we don't know if it's street racing or drag racing or later at night. It's coming from the west side of the village. I can even hear it over where I live. Resident has said,
It's the UWM lot.
well, I've heard that, but nobody knows. Do the police know? I mean, would
It's
it
the
be
parking lot.
possible
It's
to
the
find
parking
out?
lot. UWM doesn't. They don't have.
Which park?
There's
So the
not much
question
we can do
becomes,
about
someone
it.
said to me,
Order,
"Can we just
point of
put a
order.
gate up? Can we just get a report from someone in the police department, MPD, Glendale, whatever district, just,
Mhm.
it could be informational.
Yep.
Residents would like to see something change.
Mhm. Um,
I'll ask the chief for an update to provide you in your Friday update.
That's good.
Thank you. All right, motion to adjourn, trustee Kudos, seconded by, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, trustee Warren, any objections? We are adjourned at 8:27 PM. Thank you.
Sit at my desk, so I